It wasn't the sirens that woke me. It was the spotlight. White, blinding, slicing through our bedroom blinds like a searchlight over a prison yard. Seconds later, the slam of car doors, the crackle of police radios, and the unmistakable voice of a woman outside shouting, "That's her. That's the one." I shot out of bed, heart pounding. Elena was already awake, standing by the window in her tactical pants and a faded Justice Department T-shirt, arms crossed, face unreadable. "Let me guess," she muttered. "Brenda." I peeked through the blinds. Two patrol cars parked sideways across our manicured cul-de-sac. Red and blue lights washing over our stucco home like we were harboring fugitives. And standing proudly at the end of our driveway, like she was directing a movie, was Brenda Hutchinson, president of the Willowbrook Estates HOA and professional paranoid. Pink velour tracksuit, clipboard, sunglasses at 6 a.m. She pointed at Elena like she was identifying a cartel leader. "There, that's the woman impersonating a federal agent. Arrest her before she flees." A cop started toward the house, hand resting on his holster. I turned to Elena. "Do you want me to?" "Nope." She was already walking down the stairs. Calm, dead calm. The kind of calm that makes actual criminals very, very nervous. The Arizona sun had just crested over the rooftops, casting long golden shadows across our perfect little suburb. Birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and Elena walked barefoot into our driveway, as if stepping onto a battlefield. "Ma'am, please keep your hands visible," the officer said cautiously. "We received a report of someone impersonating federal law enforcement." From her porch, Brenda beamed like she'd just orchestrated a sting operation. Her iPhone was already recording. I noticed a local news van parked halfway down the street. "Seriously? My name is Elena Vasquez," my wife said evenly. "I work for the U.S. Department of Justice, Criminal Investigations Division. Would you like to see my badge?" The officer hesitated. You have a badge?" Brenda scoffed. "It's fake. I've seen her playing dress-up. She thinks she's in an action movie." Elena pulled out a leather case, flipped it open, and handed it over. "Real badge. Real ID. DOJ hologram." The cop's eyebrows shot up so fast they nearly joined his hairline. A long silence. Then the radio crackled. "Dispatch confirms. Elena Vasquez. Active DOJ agent. 15-year service. Criminal Division." Brenda's smirk shattered like glass under a boot. "Let me rewind. My name's Marcus. I am 45. Navy veteran turned telecom contractor. Moved here thinking Willowbrook Estates was the slice of heaven we'd been searching for. Palm trees, clean sidewalks, zero crime. Instead, we found a dystopia with lawn inspectors and power-hungry retirees on golf carts. My wife, Elena? She's the kind of woman who walks into a room and everyone straightens up without knowing why. She spent her life dismantling white-collar empires, laundering schemes, crypto-cons, and billionaire scams. But to Brenda, our neighborhood's self-appointed watchdog, she was a lazy woman who slept in and wore suspicious clothing. To Brenda, normal meant mowing your lawn at 6 a.m., saluting the HOA flag, and gossiping in a Facebook group like it was NATO intelligence. When Elena started coming home at weird hours, in different vehicles, sometimes with gear that looked like it belonged on a SWAT team, Brenda lost it. She wasn't just suspicious. She was obsessed. This morning's ambush, it was a performance, and Brenda won an audience. She got one. As the cops uncuffed Elena and offered apologies, Brenda's voice cracked from a porch. "She's faking everything. She probably tricked the DOJ, too. I'll call the FBI if I have to." Elena looked at her, eyes steady. "Good. I work with them." The officer looked at me and shook his head. "I've seen some things," he muttered. "But this one's going in the report." And that's when I knew this wasn't just neighbor drama anymore. This was war. And Brenda had just made the worst mistake of her life. The sun was just rising over Willowbrook Estates, casting that honey gold glow over the regulation-sized driveways and the regulation-colored beige homes. Sprinklers ticked in unison. Flags fluttered at exactly 38 degrees. And like clockwork, Brenda Hutchinson stepped outside, pink tracksuit, clipboard in hand, and a scowl etched so deeply into her face it looked structural. She wasn't just our HOA president. She was the self-declared moral authority of the neighborhood. And today, her target was Elena. Again, Elena, she'd mutter to her walking buddy, as if she were saying termite infestation. You know what I saw yesterday? Black SUV. No plats. She climbed out wearing a jacket that said, police. But she doesn't work for anyone. I checked. Her companion, Mrs. Patterson, nodded solemnly like a judge hearing damning testimony. And she sleeps past 10, she added, as if that settled the matter. I remember the moment I realized Brenda wasn't just nosy, she was dangerous. It was the morning Elena came home from a 14-hour surveillance shift, kicked off her boots, and collapsed on the couch with a sigh so heavy I thought it might bend the floorboards. She hadn't even had time to change out of her DOJ vest. I offered her coffee. She waved it off. Crypto scam, offshore accounts, 5 shell companies. Guys got private security with night vision drones. Sounds like fun, I said. But before she could respond, a knock rattled the front door like a battering ram. Brenda, clipboard raised like a weapon, smile carved out of pure hostility. I'd like to address a serious safety concern, she said, stepping across our threshold without waiting for permission. Your wife has been seen loitering in cars, wearing tactical clothing, taking photos. This is creating panic. Elena looked at her like a cat watching a bug. Still, unblinking. I was conducting federal surveillance. Brenda scoffed. Of course you were. And I'm Queen Elizabeth. This isn't Quantico. It's a gated community. She handed me a paper. Notice of violation. Resident impersonating law enforcement. $500 per day fine until compliance. Elena read it in silence, then started to laugh. But it wasn't funny. Not really. It was the kind of laugh people let out when the absurdity of life swallows them whole. She really thinks I'm pretending, she whispered to me later, staring out the window at Brenda measuring a neighbor's lawn. I've put cartel accountants in prison, flown to Berlin for asset recovery. But here I'm just some weirdo in cargo pants. Apparently. I carry a gun, Marcus. Legally. Do I need a tattoo, DOJ, across my forehead? Please don't, I said. But maybe wear your badge to brunch? What we didn't know yet was that Brenda had already begun her private investigation. She kept a spiral notebook with timestamps, took photos through her blinds, tracked Elena's vehicles like she was logging flight patterns. I know, because I eventually found the notebook after everything blew up. And every day, her story got more elaborate. She's not just pretending, Brenda whispered to neighbors during HOA meetings. She's running some kind of private militia. Maybe a cult. Maybe worse. How many women do you know with a bulletproof vest and a police radio? No one challenged her. Because in Willowbrook, silence was safer than truth. People like Brenda survive by making everyone just uncomfortable enough not to speak up. And the rest? Well, they just wanted the pool cleaned and the grass cut. But Elena didn't play by HOA rules. She wasn't built for conformity. She was built for war zones in Armani suits, high-stakes boardrooms where billions vanished in a blink and the wrong word could trigger an international inquiry. So when Brenda tried to push her around, Elena didn't bark. She watched, and I watched her watching. Something shifted in her. The same look I'd seen back in my Navy days, when someone decides this isn't just personal anymore. It's tactical. She wants to fight, Elena finally said. She thinks I'm the problem, but she has no idea I'm not the one hiding something. I remember the way she said it. Not a warning, not a boast, just a calm observation. Because when you spend your life uncovering frauds, you start smelling lies before the rest of the world even notices smoke. And Brenda? She reeked. It started with a notebook. A red, spiral-bound, college-ruled notebook that Brenda accidentally dropped during one of her early morning community patrols. Elena spotted it while backing out of the driveway one morning, half buried in gravel near our mailbox. She picked it up, flipped it open, and froze. Subject observed exiting unmarked sedan at 2:12 a.m., tactical, vest partially visible. License plate hashtag AZ. 4XN9 belongs to rotating fleet. Likely unregistered. possibly government decoy vehicle. Theory, witness protection asset, or cartel affiliate posing as federal. Elena Blinkid. Turn the page. Page after page. Date stamped. Logged. With grainy photos taped inside like some kind of middle-aged Cold War scrapbook. Brenda hadn't just been paranoid. She was conducting counter-surveillance. That night, we sat on the living room floor, flipping through the pages under a reading lamp like we'd found a secret diary written by an unhinged spy. Elena, I said slowly, this is a dossier. She's been watching me, she whispered. Stalking me. Documenting my schedule, my phone calls, and building a case. She nodded, and I saw it happen, the shift. The mask of professional detachment dropped, and something raw flickered in her eyes. It wasn't anger. It was violation. Elena had dealt with criminals, yes. But this was different. Those were jobs. This was her home. The next day, the situation exploded. Brenda hosted what she called a community safety assembly at the Willowbrook Rec Center. Flyers went up overnight, printed on red cardstock like it was a fire drill notice, addressing dangerous role play, suspicious activity, and protecting our property values. We went. We had to. The meeting room buzzed with polite tension. Plastic chairs. Stale coffee. Half the neighborhood sat there, whispering. Most didn't even know what they were here for. Until Brenda hit the lights and queued up her PowerPoint. Slide 1. Behavioral patterns of law enforcement impersonators. Slide 2. A blurry photo of Elena, mid-step, holding a clipboard, tactical pants visible. Let me be clear, Brenda said, gripping the podium like it owed her money. This isn't personal, but when someone pretends to be law enforcement, we all suffer the consequences. Real officers don't sneak around at night. They don't wear knockoff badges. They don't disappear for days and return in different vehicles. Whispers turned into murmurs. I looked at Elena. She looked at her hands, motionless in her lap, like she was counting seconds. Then Brenda brought out the notebook. She held it up like holy scripture. This is my record of 6 months of suspicious activity. I've shared it with local law enforcement. I've contacted the Department of Homeland Security. If we don't act now, we're complicit. Elena, I said quietly, do you want me to say something? No, she said, standing up. I've got it. The room went still as she walked forward, heels clicking against the tile floor like a gavel. Elena Vasquez, she said, voice even. Federal agent. DOJ. Badge number 847392. I conduct surveillance. I build financial crime cases. I do not, and have never, impersonated anything. Brenda blinked, clearly not expecting a confrontation. I don't owe you an explanation, Elena continued. But you owe this community the truth. Because while you were obsessing over my work hours, my vehicles, my wardrobe, you were distracting everyone from asking real questions. What questions? Brenda snapped. Elena stepped closer, lowering her voice. Like where the HOA funds have gone. Like why community repairs are months behind schedule. Like why your budget line items don't add up. A ripple went through the crowd. I watched Brenda stiffen, just slightly like someone who'd been hit with a tranquilizer dart but hadn't hit the floor yet. Elena, she hissed. This is slander. No, Elena said calmly. This is foreshadowing. That night, our living room transformed. Not with drama, but with purpose. Elena pulled her laptop from the bag she used for work, the one she never brought inside before, and opened files I didn't know she kept. Let's follow the money, she said. I poured coffee, opened my spreadsheets, and for the first time, we went on offense. Not because we were angry, because we were done. You could hear the shredder from the sidewalk. That whirring, mechanical scream, a frantic buzzsaw of paper and panic, echoed out of the Willowbrook Community Center like a warning siren. It was 10:04 a.m. on a Monday, and Brenda was destroying evidence. Jennifer texted us the moment she heard it. Camera with flash, walking the dog. Brenda's inside, full shutter mode. Filming now. Elena leaned over my shoulder as I watched the footage come in. Brenda, hair frazzled, sweat beading on her forehead, feeding stacks of documents into the machine with the desperation of someone trying to erase their past before it caught up. She knows, Elena murmured. She's figured out we're on to her. And she's panicking, I said, which means we're close. It started with a single spreadsheet. Just one. But Roberto, our retired CPA neighbor and secret weapon, knew how to read numbers like they whispered secrets. He spotted it instantly. $15,000 in consulting fees paid to a company that didn't exist. Then another $12,400 in beautification services for landscaping that never happened. And then a third, a community credit card charge at a Sedona resort listed as training retreat. Fake vendors, duplicate invoices, missing receipts, Roberto said, running a finger down the columns. This isn't mismanagement. This is embezzlement. Elena nodded. And if I were prosecuting this, I'd say it's a felony pattern of theft, masked as leadership. By Wednesday, the war room was in full swing. Our dining table had become the headquarters of a covert task force. Roberto with his spreadsheets, Sarah the ex-paralegal drafting legal procedures, Tom the retired MP coordinating our documentation, and Jennifer turning Facebook rumors into organized evidence logs. Elena couldn't officially investigate, DOJ ethics and all, but she became our silent general. Build a timeline, she told Tom. Cross-reference votes with spending. Track every dollar that doesn't have a receipt. Done, he said, unrolling a timeline that looked like something out of a police procedural, color-coded, laminated, terrifyingly detailed. Elena, I asked one night, after everyone had gone home, what happens if we prove it? I mean, actually prove it. She looked up from her notes. Then we remove her, report the theft, and let the law do what it does. And what if it doesn't? Her eyes sharpened. Then I remind them what happens when you ignore the law. But it wasn't just Brenda anymore. The other board members, the ones who used to smile politely and echo her rules, had gone silent. One even stopped waving when I passed on my morning run. Fear had settled over Willowbrook like a low fog. People were choosing sides. Brenda sensed it too. She retaliated with an emergency board meeting. No notice. No transparency. Just a vague email titled, Urgent Financial Security Protocol Adjustments. Translation, cover-up in progress. At the meeting, Brenda proposed 3 motions. Hire a private security firm to handle HOA asset protection, $15,000 upfront. Require unanimous board approval for any financial document requests, essentially locking out residents. Institute a $500 emergency assessment fee per household to fund ongoing legal efforts. Harold raised his hand. What firm are we hiring? That's classified, Brenda replied. The room stirred. Someone else asked, if our finances are stable, why the emergency fees? Because we're under attack, Brenda snapped. This community is being infiltrated by hostile actors. I'm doing everything I can to protect you people. Elena leaned into me and whispered, she's unraveling. Good, I said. Let her. That night, Elena got the voicemail, left on her DOJ supervisor's line. Brenda, rambling, screaming, accusing Elena of using federal surveillance tactics to harass innocent civilians, threatening to go public with proof of DOJ corruption. She's escalating, Elena said after playing it for me. She just went from HOA nonsense to interfering with a federal agent's job. She's making this bigger than herself. She's making it federal. The next morning, Agent Thompson from the FBI called. Elena, he said dryly, we received a 40-page dossier from your neighbor. Claims you're part of a crypto-terrorist ring operating out of a beige ranch home. Elena nearly dropped her coffee. Oh, she went full novel, huh? Thompson chuckled. We laughed. Then we read it. Then we flagged her. This woman has filed false reports with 4 agencies in 3 weeks. Should I be worried? Not you, he said. Her. By Friday, we were ready. Spreadsheets, witness statements, transaction logs, a printed binder with color tabs. We had the full picture. And Brenda? She'd unknowingly scheduled her next HOA meeting on live local news. She was planning to expose Elena. She had no idea she was walking in her own trial. The parking lot of the Willowbrook Community Center was full by 6:30. Folding chairs lined up in rows, every seat taken. Cell phone charged and pointed. The Channel 12 news van idled just outside, its antenna rising slowly into the orange-pink desert sky. People murmured in low voices like a church before the sermon. At the front of the room, Brenda Hutchinson stood beaming, her laptop connected to the projector, her microphone already hot. She had no idea tonight's meeting, the one she'd planned as her grand takedown of Elena, would become her public self-destruction. We sat in the back row, me, Elena, and our little war room team. Roberto with the financials, Sarah with the legal statutes, Tom with the timeline, Jennifer, phone in hand, already recording. Elena wore her federal badge on a lanyard tucked just beneath her blazer. She looked calm, tired but calm, like someone about to finally close a very long, very stupid chapter. Brenda tapped the mic. Thank you, everyone, for coming. What I'm about to reveal is difficult, but necessary. Our community has been under quiet siege for months, from someone pretending to be something she's not. Gasps, murmurs. Phones lifted. The Channel 12 reporter leaned forward in her seat. Brenda flipped to Slide 1. Operation Neighborhood Watch, exposing the fraud among us. Slide 2. Blurry surveillance photos of Elena in tactical pants, adjusting a satellite dish. Slide 3. Screenshots of Elena's emails, somehow obtained illegally. I intercepted these communications, Brenda said, proud. They speak of asset placement, target acquisitions, and surveillance protocols. Ma'am, Officer Rodriguez stood in the back, arms folded. How did you acquire federal emails? Brenda faltered for half a beat. Through proper channels. Which channels exactly? She ignored him. This woman has lied to us. I demand her immediate removal from the neighborhood. I've filed reports with law enforcement, Homeland Security, and the FBI. This isn't just HOA business, it's national security. She pointed directly at Elena. You fooled everyone long enough. Tonight it ends. Elena stood. Slowly, she walked to the front of the room, heels clicking against tile. All eyes turned. The hum of the camera intensified. She turned to face the crowd. My name is Special Agent Elena Vasquez, she said, reaching into her blazer and pulling out her badge. Department of Justice. Criminal Investigations Division. Badge number 847392. The room went absolutely still. Brenda blinked. That's fake. Up prop. You're faking again. They can make badges on Etsy now. A voice cut through the tension. Actually, it's real. Everyone turned. Agent Thompson from the Phoenix FBI field office stepped forward from the crowd. I've spoken with Agent Vasquez's supervisors. Her record is spotless. Her work is real. And your reports, Mrs. Hutchinson, have wasted hundreds of hours of federal manpower. A few people gasped. Others slowly turned toward Brenda. But it wasn't over. Roberto stood, walked up beside Elena, flipped open a thick binder, and connected his laptop. While we're here, he said calmly, perhaps we should talk about real criminal activity. The projector switched to a new slide. Willowbrook HOA embezzlement, 18-month forensic review. Transaction logs, vendor maps, fake companies, cross-reference dates, and authorizations. $47,000 missing. Documented. Traced. Undeniable. Brenda stepped back like she'd been slapped. That's a lie. Those are doctored. You can't. Officer Rodriguez stepped forward, pulling out a notepad. Ma'am, I need to ask you some questions. About Desert Management Solutions, Pinnacle Landscaping, and several credit card charges made under your authority. I was protecting the community, she stammered. They're twisting everything. This is all a setup, Elena, the news reporter said. Do you have a comment? Elena didn't respond. She simply looked Brenda in the eyes. You tried to destroy my life because you couldn't understand it. You built a conspiracy around your own ignorance. And now you're going to face the truth on camera. The Channel 12 cameraman zoomed in. The crowd watched in frozen silence as Officer Rodriguez took out his handcuffs. Mrs. Hutchinson, he said, voice firm, you're under arrest for felony theft of community funds. You have the right to remain silent. Click. The handcuffs locked. Brenda looked around in disbelief. You'll all see. I was right. I was trying to save you. No one responded. Not even her friends. And just like that, the woman who had spent months screaming about law and order was escorted out in handcuffs. This time, the badge was real. In the days after Brenda's arrest, Willowbrook Estates felt like a town waking up from a long, uneasy sleep. The sun still rose over beige stucco walls and freshly edged lawns. The sprinklers still clicked on at dawn. Kids still rode scooters in tight little circles near the cul-de-sac. But something was different now. Silence, for one. The kind of silence that arrives after a storm. Not absence, but aftermath. You could hear birdsong again without Brenda's 6 a.m. clipboard patrols breaking the air. No more anonymous violation notices taped to doors. No more angry Facebook posts accusing residents of flag misalignment. She was gone, and the neighborhood was breathing. We never saw Brenda again after that night. According to court records, she pled guilty to felony theft and misuse of community funds. She avoided prison by surrendering her home and assets to pay restitution. The beige fortress with the pink flamingo mailbox was listed on Zillow within 2 weeks. Sold below market. The money she stole, we got it back. All of it. And then some. Elena made sure of that. But what we did with it, that's the real ending of this story. We didn't just fix the landscaping or repair the broken pool heater. We didn't build a new clubhouse or upgrade the community gym. That would have been too easy. Instead, we created the Willowbrook Accountability Fund, a scholarship program for first-generation college students in Arizona. 3 kids every year, $5,000 each, paid directly from what Brenda tried to take. From greed came growth. From paranoia came possibility. And that, Elena said, was the kind of poetic irony even she couldn't write better. Elena became a legend around here, not because she had a badge, but because she used it with restraint. Because she didn't crush Brenda the moment she could. She let the truth speak louder than ego. She taught people that justice isn't loud or petty or about power. It's quiet, measured, relentless. Kids now call her Agent E, like she's a neighborhood superhero. She laughs every time, but she leans into it more than she'll admit. She even started hosting free workshops at the community center, how to spot real crime and not create it in your head. Funny how that works. As for me, well, being the guy who helped uncover an HOA embezzlement ring turned out to be good for business. My consulting firm now handles transparency systems for over 40 neighborhoods across 3 states. The trick, I always tell them, is simple quarterly audits, open books, clear procedures, and maybe, just maybe a little less paranoia. It took us 6 months to clean up Brenda's mess, longer to rebuild trust, but we did it, together. The same neighbors she tried to divide now walk dogs together, share garden tools, babysit each other's kids. Something broke open here, and instead of bleeding out, it healed. Stronger, cleaner, real. We hold a block party every fall now, on the anniversary of that fateful HOA meeting. We call it Accountability Day. There's food trucks, music, bounce houses for the kids. And right at sunset, we show the Channel 12 news clip on a projector. The one where Brenda points dramatically at Elena, accuses her of being a fraud, and gets promptly arrested in front of a live audience. People still cheer every time. Some chant, "Justice, justice," with their plastic cups raised. Others just smile quietly and nod. But me? I like to step away for a moment when that scene plays. I head to the edge of the park, where the desert wind brushes over the cactus and the smell of grilled carne asada drifts through the air. And I think about how close we came to letting fear win. How one person's obsession nearly poisoned something beautiful. And how truth, just truth, documented and patient, burned it all away.